Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Going over Red versus Blue today, and I don't mean the web series that is like Halo related. I mean Republicans versus Democrats. Now, on an off note, did y'all see Mandalorian yesterday? That was a good episode. And the next one isn't going to be for like a week and a half, which is going to kill me. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian yet, episode 7, you should definitely watch it. If you haven't watched The Mandalorian at all, even if you don't like Star Wars, it's a good show. I recommend you watching it. Now back to the subject at hand. Democrats and Republicans, red versus blue. It's a big problem in our country, I think. There are definitely some issues that are occurring, and it's really becoming prevalent in this impeachment proceedings. Every Republican is voting no on everything, and Democrats, for the most part, by a huge amount, really, they're voting yes on everything, with a couple, kind of saying they're not voting or they're voting no. Which Tulsi Gabbard, however you pronounce her name, what's the deal? You're running for president. I don't know if you've dropped out or anything at this point, because I honestly wasn't paying attention to you at all. No disrespect, but this is why I wasn't paying attention to you. Did you really vote present yesterday instead of voting yes or no? What kind of cowardly move was that? What are you doing? I guess there was a movement. They wanted to just censor the president. Okay, first of all, you're not censoring Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. Even if there's legislation involved to keep him from twittering every day, guess what? He doesn't care. Isn't it obvious that he doesn't care about whatever the laws are, or about being respectful? Which is what brings me to this video. I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted today's video to be about, and I had to kind of change my mind with some things that happened yesterday, some things I read about this morning and saw, and leads me to here. So partisanship. Once you're elected in office, I don't care what party you're in. You're supposed to be impartial. You're supposed to do the right thing for the people. Now, everyone has different constituents. They're in different areas, different demographics. Some people might have ethnic majority. Some people might have a Christian majority. It's always going to be different. You might have nothing but rich people in your district, or you might have nothing but poor people in your district. So your constituents want different things. But in the end, no matter how you slice it, you have to follow the rules and the laws that are in the Constitution, that are in the Bill of Rights, that our country stands for, and just do the right thing. With every Democrat and every Republican voting one way or another on the impeachment, it brings this question of who's representing who. Are the Democrats representing the people, or are they representing themselves? Are the Republicans representing the people, or representing themselves? And when I hear senators who are going to be part of the jury on the impeachment, the removal, the actual trial of Donald Trump, and they're saying that they will not be impartial, that they want the trial to be over as quickly as possible. That's not being impartial, and that's not doing your job. That's representing, I don't even know if that's representing your party anymore, because now you're just representing a man who is a criminal, or just not right for office. And that means that you don't care about the country, or you don't care about the people. You only care about doing what you want to do. I mean, this has been an issue ever since Trump has been president. And, you know, you look at the Grim Reaper, as he wants to be called, Mitch McConnell, and what he says. You know, they keep saying the do nothing Democrats. Well, you have like 130 bills that are laying on your desk that have been approved by the House, you know, Republicans and Democrats. And now it's your turn to take up the vote and send it to the president if it passes the Senate, which the Senate has a Republican majority. So I don't know why he's afraid of putting these bills up for vote, unless he's afraid even the Republicans are going to accept these bills that he just doesn't agree with. And simply put, he will not put them up for a vote because he doesn't agree with it. And he said it. He's like, if I don't like it, it's not going up for a vote. That's not how our country works. I don't know if you guys remember the Schoolhouse Rock, you know, I'm just a bill. The steps are a senator or a congressperson, they will write a bill co-sponsored by another senator or other senators and other congresspeople. And once that bill is written, they will hand it over to the Speaker of the House or the Senate Majority Leader, and they will put it up for a vote. And then if it passes, it goes to either the chamber, the Senate, or it'll go to the House. You know, whoever wrote it, it goes to the next step. And then if it passes, it goes straight to the president, who either signs it and it becomes an official bill, or he vetoes it, or he or she vetoes it, at which point it goes back to the people who wrote it, and they will either make adjustments to it and hope he doesn't veto it again, or they will vote on it. And if there's a supermajority, 67%, who want it approved, it doesn't matter if the president vetoed it or not, it gets approved. So, I mean, and that's kind of what happened when he declared that national emergency. That is ridiculous. They passed a bill that it was ridiculous. It went to the Senate, and it passed the Senate that it was ridiculous, and it got to him, and he vetoed it, and then we didn't get the supermajority to call it ridiculous and to cancel the national emergency, which, in case you guys have forgotten, we're technically in a state of emergency. I don't see it. But, you know, my opinion, I guess. So, Mitch McConnell himself, by himself, he's withholding 130, at least the last I heard was 130 points of legislation that were passed by Congress, and he just doesn't approve of them. He doesn't like them, so they're not going up for a vote. That is the most un-American thing I've ever heard of a politician doing. It's just insane, especially if some of those bills were for the people, to help the people. And I mean, I'm using that and him as an example of this is the party problem. You know, the Republicans aren't calling him out on it. I think the House should definitely do a better job of bringing this up daily. He is not doing his job. He needs to be voted out. And I think the Democrats in general do a very, very bad job of calling out these types of behaviors that are just been rampant for the past couple of years. You know, I mean, as a Democrat, it's hard for me to say hands down the party problem isn't the Democrats, it's the Republicans, because in any argument you're always going to feel like the other side is wrong. And I mean, in 50% of the time you're the one who's wrong, as long as there's only two sides. With the Republicans, though, you know, I said it yesterday in my impeachment video. Did he abuse his power? Maybe we can make that questionable. That's fine. It's up to you to decide if you feel that way or not. I'm not going to try to persuade you in one way or another. You know, like I said, the evidence is technically hearsay. It's admissible hearsay, and it's backed up by sworn testimony, as well as that lame little transcript that he allowed out. Not the verbatim, and definitely not a recording. But he did allow out a little bit of the transcript, and to me it looked fishy, because he only ever talked about the Bidens. He never mentioned Burisma, the company that hired Hunter Biden. He never mentioned corruption in general. He only talked about Hunter Biden, and that he wanted an investigation announced against Hunter Biden, which is really, really fishy. And that he held the funds, which he's not allowed to do. I mean, I guess if I really even just, he withheld funds. He's not allowed to do that. That's an abuse of power. So forget about the bribery, or trying to get Zelensky to do what he wanted him to do. He did something he's not allowed to do, and that is abuse of power. And that can't be denied, because they've admitted that he did that. Yes, he withheld the funds because he didn't feel like it was supposed to be given to Ukraine. Well, you know what? That's not his position. If that's how he feels, you talk to Pence, and you tell Pence you take that up with Congress, because as vice president, essentially he's the head of Congress. He goes to Congress's meetings. He speaks for the president to Congress. That is your job as vice president of the United States. So if as president you feel like you need to withhold those funds, you take that up with Pence, and Pence takes that to Congress. And it's Congress's decision on what to do with that money. It is not the president's call. He abused his power, plain and simple, black and white. Maybe they're not explaining that well enough. Because to be honest with you, I just kind of put that together myself like 10 seconds ago. I've been really just focused on the fact of bribery and extortion. But yeah, case in point, that's an abuse of power. That's an impeachable offense. That is written in the Constitution itself. That is a word for word thing. Abuse of power can get you impeached and removed from office. He abuses power. The second article of impeachment, I think, is a lot more clear, because it's obstruction of Congress. They were investigating him. They called for witnesses. He told those witnesses not to testify, which is obstruction of investigation, an investigation being held by Congress. He obstructed Congress. Congress's job is to investigate the president and to make sure he is not abusing his power or doing anything wrong, or anything that's not benefiting the people, that only benefits him. And they were doing their job, and he obstructed them from doing their job. Our government was split into the three branches, and one of those branches was split into two houses for a very specific reason, and that is so that every channel has to go through someone else, and it has to be approved by someone else, and if it isn't, it stops. If you as president feel like you don't have to worry about that, then you are abusing your power. That's simple. And for 0 Republicans to vote against impeachment, to vote for impeachment, then they don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about what's right and what's wrong. They simply are only focused on what's best for their party, which to me, I don't want someone at the head of my party who doesn't care. They're only concerned about their own self, and that's not who a president is supposed to be. I mean, if anything, a president is sacrificing 4 to 8 years of their life. They're constantly busy, and in reality, you're probably sacrificing a lot more than that 48 years. They age so dramatically in office. You can tell just the weight of the job itself is torture on them. it is not a job that you really want to take. You know, you take it to be a servant, you know, to serve the people. You're sacrificing a part of yourself for the people. He's not doing that. And he doesn't look to be burdened by the weight of the presidency at all. You could see Obama was so young looking and energetic. I mean, and he still kind of has that energy, but God, he aged in 8 years. Even Clinton aged. And if you want to see a real good example, look at Abraham Lincoln before he took office, and then, before he was assassinated. And granted, he probably had the very most stressful presidency in history, but man, it kills you. So, it's just crazy to me that it's more important to protect a person than the people. And if he's disregarding the people and you're not voting to remove him or to impeach him, then you're not paying attention and you don't care. So, I wanted to talk about that because it's super irritating to me. There's so much more I want to go over. That letter to Pelosi, telling a congresswoman that her husband is probably looking up at her from hell. What is going on, and why aren't the Republicans standing up against him? Why are they okay with those kinds of actions? I mean, 98% of them are Christians or Catholics. I don't remember Jesus ever saying it's okay to tell someone their husband is in hell, just because they're a little upset with their vote. It's ridiculous, and it's going too far. And it's creating a lot of tension in our country that we don't need and is uncalled for. There's no big dramatic change that's happening right now to really put us in this situation. But it's their rhetoric, it's what they're saying, it's their actions, and it's their all around behavior that is starting to really damage this country. And I don't think we're at any boiling point right now. I think for the most part, we have those rogue people who will say some outlandish things, but I think push comes to shove, we're Americans. We are all Americans. We're all brothers and sisters. And I think no matter what, I think we as a country have gotten to a point where in the end, we're going to stand together one way or another. We're going to disagree. That's the beauty of our country. But, I hope it all comes to an end before that relationship that we have with each other falls apart and is irreparable. I don't want to see our country start to fall apart because some guy has an ego problem and for some reason people are listening to him. So that's what I wanted to go over. I really didn't mean for it to go over this long, but it's bothering me a lot. And I'm sure if you guys are paying attention to what's happening, it should be bothering you too. And, we're getting close to a new election year. I think it's time for everyone to kind of take it seriously, and hopefully we can make some changes. So thank you again for watching my second video. Yes, I am in my car. I was not driving this the whole time. I hope you recognize that. I was never looking at the road. Lunch break and just trying to get another video out while I had the time. And tomorrow, hopefully I have a shorter subject that maybe is a little bit more uplifting. 2 depressing days. I don't want that. So I'll think of something better for tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Happy holidays again, and Merry Christmas if you don't like happy holidays. Have a good night.